No way. Not this time.
Okay, so Caitlin Clark posted this little Instagram story and people instantly went wild. Some thought, oh, she's hinting she might jump back in during the playoffs, while others felt like, nah, this is her throwing shade at the Fever for ending her season too soon. But then the biggest buzz started. Maybe this means she will skip the break and run straight into Unrivaled because after sitting out so long, she must be dying to play. Honestly, it makes sense why fans and even analysts are hyping it up, since a lot of folks would love to see it.
Now, how could an injury like this be prevented? Believe it or not, one way could actually be playing in Unrivaled. And not because Unrivaled is fun to watch, just because Unrivaled is an actual development league and it could get her into game shape so that when she does go into the WNBA, there isn't as much of like a shock about getting in and playing against all the competitors because, you know, she's definitely a target out there.
Listen up. Everybody is buzzing about Caitlin Clark maybe jumping into Unrivaled, but guess what? She is not going to do it. And the funny thing is, the real reason is right in front of us. Hear it? You'll actually feel happy that she's not rushing in because what she is more likely to do instead sounds way bigger and way better. But before we get into that, people are tossing around all this logic about why she could play in Unrivaled. So let's spill the tea on that.
Now, maybe they didn't have it last year, but now they have deep enough pockets. They have a well that they could go to, reach in that well, pull out a big bag of money, and finally approach the big dog with a real contract. Finally approach the big dog with a real offer. Yeah, that 1 million, 2 million, 5%, that's nothing compared to what they're gonna offer CC now.
On paper, the whole Unrivaled thing kind of makes sense, right? Like, there's no way Caitlin Clark just show up next season after sitting around for 8 or 9 months with zero real basketball. That's just not how it works. Last year, a long break maybe helped her clear her head, but if we're talking about her body, her rhythm, her flow, she's going to need some kind of action, and Unrivaled looks pretty perfect for that since it's short. It all happens in one spot. It only lasts a couple months, and the money is wild because they just got huge funding, like $340 million, which means they are ready to go big. And with that kind of cash, who wouldn't think they'd try to drop a crazy offer on Caitlin?
I still think the Caitlin Clark Tour, the Caitlin Clark World Tour, might be the best option, as in she plays 5v5, she brings a team of 12 WNBA players, and they do 2 3-week tours, which means they might get in 3 weeks, 21 days, they play 6 games. They play a game every 3 days in different cities around Europe, and then they take a break and they do a tour of Australia and China. They play against all the top EuroLeague teams. They play against all the top teams in the NBL and all the top teams in the WCBA.
Like, honestly, if the CBA is still up in the air, then yeah, Unrivaled would totally shoot their shot at Caitlin. Because just imagine if they got her, the whole thing would blow up, ratings would go crazy, sponsors would line up, money would pour in, and suddenly Unrivaled looks like it could stand toe-to-toe with the WNBA, especially since people already said Caitlin alone could be worth $1 billion to the league. The WNBA right now is valued at around $3.5 billion, mostly because her arrival doubled team values. So yeah, if she joined Unrivaled, we'd see packed arenas, huge checks, and loads of equity. And sure, she already passed on millions from Ice, so the bag here would have to be insane. But here's the catch. As dreamy as this sounds, she is not doing it because 1, it's 3-on-3, and that style is rough on the body. We literally saw players get hurt and teams forfeit last season. 2, it's the same WNBA players who already go hard at her, so you know they won't suddenly go easy just because they own part of the league. And 3, the whole CBA fight, Unrivaled is tangled up in that too. The WNBA clearly does not want their stars hopping over to Unrivaled. And then you've got Brianna Stewart and Nafisa Collier stuck in this weird spot because they run Unrivaled, but also speak for the Players Union, which is the biggest conflict ever. And Caitlin is way too smart to get near that. Then comes the brand thing. Her whole vibe is about being elite, chasing rings, no cheap gimmicks. Remember, she even skipped the 3-on-3 Olympics, not because she was tired, but because it just didn't match her image. If it was 5-on-5 for Team USA, she would have been there in a sec. So why would she risk her brand now when Nike just rolled out her logo and are lining up a signature shoe drop in May 2026, right when the WNBA kicks off? Like, yeah, Nike dragged their feet because they wanted Aja Wilson's shoe to shine first. But now it's Caitlin's turn, and Nike goes global, not local. She is not just just an Iowa girl, she is an international face, and Europe is the perfect playground because their clubs, like Fenerbahce, are stacked with WNBA stars. Imagine Nike plastering her face on billboards in every city she plays, while she keeps her game sharp and builds momentum for her return. It's neat, it's powerful, it keeps her brand clean, and it sets her up for a Ronaldo, Messi, Beckham type of global push. Okay, so maybe she won't make the exact mega money Ronaldo or Messi pulled in, but the strategy is pretty much the same. Blow up your brand all over the world and then come back home with that energy multiplied. For the WNBA, that would be the ultimate gift. Like, picture this: Caitlin Clark, finally fully healthy, no injury clouds, no drama, stepping back into the league as an even bigger global star. And on top of that, Nike drops her signature shoe right when the season starts. So fans are not just watching for the basketball, they're buying into the whole moment. And this doesn't just boost her, it lifts the entire league, because now you've got people in Europe, in Asia, everywhere who followed her off-season run, suddenly caring about the WNBA, making the league look bigger, shinier, and more important than ever. The funniest part is, this still might not be the ceiling, because there is another possible move here, one that could take all of this to an even crazier level. Alright, so picture this, because this idea takes things to a whole new level, and it is so on brand for Caitlin Clark that it almost feels too perfect. This isn't about her squeezing into somebody else's plan, like Unrivaled, or even joining a big European club. This is about her writing her own script, building something that is completely hers. If you really think about it, that is exactly what her brand is all about. She has always been bigger than just another player. She is a movement, and the proof is already out there. Remember when she squared off against that Brazilian team in a preseason game and nobody thought much of it? Until bam, 1.3 million people tuned in to watch a matchup that technically meant nothing, and yet it felt like an NBA Finals moment? That right there is the pure Caitlin effect. And if she decided to take that power and channel it into her own thing, it would be unstoppable. Fans would literally throw money just to see her touch the ball. They would fill arenas across the US and the world, and millions would be streaming online because everybody wants to be part of the hype. That's what makes this idea so much bigger than Unrivaled or Europe, because she doesn't need any of that. She has enough brand equity, enough clout, enough pull to say, hey, I am going to play a few games here and here and here, and you can either get a ticket or catch it live online, and boom, every single event becomes a cultural moment. She could do a mini tour. Chicago, New York, Los Angeles, maybe even London, Paris, Tokyo, and Nike would be right there pumping out billboards, ads, merch campaigns, because this fits perfectly with their global vision. The best part is, she keeps all the control. She decides the schedule. She decides the matchups. Maybe she invites other stars. Maybe she sets up dream games that people never thought they'd see. And all of it is done without the stress of a full season, without the politics, without injuries stacking up from grinding too hard. It's literally just her keeping her rhythm, staying sharp, and letting her fan base grow even bigger. The ripple effect would be massive, because the WNBA would benefit too. The hype would carry straight into the season. Her shoe launch would hit like a bomb. Sponsors would pour money into everything she touches, and media coverage would be non-stop. The truth is, she has already shown she is not afraid to say no to gimmicks or things that don't fit her brand. She passed on the Olympic 3-on-3 for that very reason. So why would she chase something small when she can build something monumental on her own? That's the real twist here. People think her options are limited, but in reality, her platform is so big, she can literally create the option, and everyone else will have to adjust around her. Alright, so let's really stretch this out and lay it all down, because when you step back and line up everything Caitlin Clark has been doing, the picture gets super clear. She isn't about chasing short-term hype or sliding to messy situations. She's about protecting her brand and making sure every move she makes feels bigger, cleaner, and smarter. That's why the whole Unrivaled fantasy ends here. It looks tempting on the outside with all the money and the talk, but deep down, it just does not match what she stands for. People forget she already turned down huge checks before because the fit wasn't right, and she passed on the Olympic 3-on-3 because it didn't align with her image. So why would she suddenly say yes to something that feels like a sideshow when her entire career has been built on chasing rings, prestige, and being seen as the best of the best? If you really think about it, this is actually the smarter play, because instead of risking her health and brand in some 3-on-3 grind, she gets to step back and plan her next move. That move is going to be massive. Maybe it's Europe, where she sharpens her game while Nike builds her up on billboards across the continent. Maybe it's her own exhibition tour, where she sells out arenas just by showing up and running the court on her own terms. Or maybe it's some other lane we haven't even thought of yet, because her platform is that big now. She can literally invent the option, and everyone else will follow her lead. That's the crazy part, because she doesn't need Unrivaled. She doesn't need to chase anyone. She is the one people are chasing. If you're the WNBA, this is honestly a dream scenario because she comes back in 2026 fully healthy, her brand bigger than ever, Nike rolling out her signature shoe at the perfect moment, and the league soaking up all the hype that she built in the offseason. So yeah, Unrivaled sounds fun in theory, but the reality is way more exciting because it means the stage is being cleared for a global Caitlin Clark comeback that will feel like an event, not just a season. I want to hear what you think. Do you see her shocking us with a left field move? Or are you with me that this path is way more likely? Either way, one thing feels locked in. When 2026 arrives, we are going to see Caitlin Clark back on the court, and it is not just going to be basketball, it's going to be history. It's going to be a cultural moment that people all over the world will be tuning in for, and the countdown to that moment has already started.